Well, hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. If we are meeting for the first time, my name is Holly Lee. I am a leadership career coach. I have been live streaming on YouTube for a while, providing you tips, strategies, and helping you improve your overall communication skills, interview tips in landing a job with your employer of choice. I also made video for the entire month of January and going towards the first half of February on how to network, how to rebrand yourself on LinkedIn, and very specific message in holding your hand like this so that you can reach out to your potential hiring managers. But before we get started, if you guys are new, do download my star template. Make sure you download my example of my biggest business impact, okay? Does your branding calls for, let's just say, $200,000 a year? The way you present yourself, the way you deliver yourself, are you worth $200,000? Are you worth $500,000? I'm just putting it out there. I know a lot of folks that has done my exact same background and they work for these FANG companies and they make $200K a year. I also have friends who does exactly what I do that work for startup that gets $600,000 a year cash, by the way. True story. I talk about this one rule to avoid age discrimination and biases by removing your year of graduation. Also, if you have certification like AWS, Cloud, Azure, whatever that is, I am not interested to put any date on there. The only date you should have is the most recent 10 or maybe 15 years of your employment. Anything older than that, I wouldn't put it on there. Do you know why all of the companies, especially the big companies, have this class called managing biases? Because when you look at a resume and you saw that someone graduated from college 1970, for example, right off the bat, you already know how old they are. If you look at their resume, employment history, they got 5 pages, 10 pages. By the way, how long should your resume be? 2 pages max to avoid any kind of unconscious bias with your background, with your age, with your skill, to not do what everybody is doing. If I'm seeing the same type of post, the same type of verbiage, the same type of energy, and then you came along, you're probably like the 1,000,001. How would that make me feel? I'll just feel like, okay, here we go. Another person. Oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. All the resume look the same. They're all crying out to me. So how and what can you do to differentiate yourself? What can you do to better your brand and who you are so you can put yourself in front of the employer? I want you all to evaluate your resume, your LinkedIn. Is it good enough? Would you hire yourself? Let's not even go there. What do you think about your own brand? Let me tell you guys this. The more confident you have in yourself, the more you will integrate and add verbiage into your credential, aka resume and LinkedIn profile, the more the employer or people who are watching you and listening to you and getting to know you will start taking you serious. Okay? They will take you serious because they can tell that there's an energy shift. Communication is really big. I want you all to really focus on your communication skill until you guys are willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and try something completely different. What's going to change? Nothing's going to change, okay? So stop applying to job. This is not a good time. This is the worst time to apply for a job. Network. I have a lot of videos on networking, by the way. Network. Okay? It's always best to add everyone on your LinkedIn account. That's how you build your pipeline. Your pipeline will always stay with you, and candidates, job seeker, they will always follow recruiters who are also loyal to them. Let's talk about mock interview for a second here, okay? Your first try, the first 3 times, I would advise you to do it in front of the mirror because you want to look at your reaction. You want to prepare yourself. When you look in the mirror, I want you to use your phone and hit record. I want you to look at your eye contact. If you're nervous, do you have body movement to evaluate yourself at least 3 times for each question. It gets you warm up, and then I want you to find a friend, old colleague, old boss, a friend, a partner, whomever you trust, who has your similar background or preferably someone who has more experience than you. Then I want you to take it up a notch and mock interview with them in person. But don't waste people's time. If you're not ready and you can't even answer your question and you don't have any confidence, don't waste your time by mock interviewing with someone. So make sure you get some practice underneath your belt before you reach out to your friends and have a mock interview session. A lot of you guys use we a lot in your answer, correct? There's no we when you guys are giving an answer. No we whatsoever. It's I. It's I. You could say our or for our company or anything for my team. I collaborated with the development team, but there's no we, okay? When you are interviewing, one, how many different stories should you have? Number two, did you actually practice before you take on an interview, rebuilding your confidence first? For instance, if I use my mobile phone, if I press record on my phone right here, I should be able to stare at the camera with the right eye contact and give an answer that's a minute or less. If you want to go 2 minutes, that's fine, but are you making sense? So you have to be able to practice and repeat yourself. When I talk about the STAR method so much, it is because the STAR Foundation forces you to share what problem you are solving for. How did you solve your problem? What did you do? What exactly did you? Don't describe the problem. Don't describe what you will do, but how. Your action plan. Tell me specifically, how did you solve the problem and what was the end result? So if you're not following the STAR method, you'll be all over the place and the interviewer have to second guess you. You guys cannot be going to a job interview having 7 and 8 stories. 6 stories. No. 20 different stories. If you don't have 20, at the bare minimum, give me 15 because you guys do the math. Every company is going to have at least 4 to 5 interviewer. Each interviewer is going to ask you 3 questions. So 3 times 5 is what? 15. But there's also probing question. You hear me? If you have at least 15 different stories, there's a way to go around in recycling your story to not sound duplicate. You don't want to repeat the example, but you could be very creative in that. You may think that things are really hard right now because, as mentioned, everyone's really anxious. Everyone's fighting for the same thing. You got to ask yourself, what are you possibly doing that differentiate you from so many people? It's like millions and millions and billions of ants all going into the same small little piece of meat on the ground. So what are you doing with those millions of ants, you being one of them, that maybe they are brown color, you're white? How are you being seen as a one single person that is white that differentiate you from everybody else? When you have 20 or 30 stories, I honestly would not recommend you to go beyond 30. That's just too much. It's not the quantity, it is the quality. That's why I'm talking about 20 perfect story. If it's so good that every time you give an answer, they want to hire you versus just giving them something where everything sounds alike and very similar. You do not want that. But if you really think about this, a lot of the interview questions, one form or another, sounds very similar. It's similar, but really it isn't. That's why it's good to have a variety to choose from. I think forcing you to do 20 different stories, it's forcing you to remember all the great things that you've done. I'm asking you guys to remember what you have built, how you have built it, and what was the result. And every time when you practice and you repeat yourself, you should sound very different. I will not think of any negative thought unless you have a document that says you are getting laid off. I will not go there. Just focus on the positive and keep on moving forward. I think that all of us are where we are because we're meant to be. When you're laid off or you're no longer them, or you quit, or you just had enough, or you're scared, or whatever you're going through, I just feel like our life is already pre-made for us. We just have to go through all of these hurdles in order for us to reach our end goal, which is very cloudy. We don't know yet, but that's just a part of life. That's just part of the learning lesson. I'm just saying that sometimes when you hit rock bottom, or when you are right at the peak and you're going down here, it's really testing you as a person to build a different level of strength and courage that you may never have had this not happened to you. That's what I mean by try to think positive and don't be so stuck on how things are not working out for you right now.